Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Tulley, President and Executive Writing Coach at Defend and Publish, and welcome to episode 98, Use an Extra Document to Cut Writing. This is a strategy I've used for a very long time, and I know a lot of people do this in different ways. But one of the things I realized as I was writing is that I needed a document to store things that I've cut out of a document that I'm working on, but I might need them for later. So, many people are very married to the sentences that they make, the writing they do, and it's painful sometimes to cut paragraphs or information. I know just a couple of days ago, I cut 3 pages, and it's definitely you feel like your labor is lost, and you feel like, oh, this is such a waste of time. I'm not using this writing. And I think some of us try a little too hard to kind of keep that writing there because we don't want to lose that labor. And for me, one of the ways that I get around this is I open up a new document, I call it extra. And sometimes I'll even say extra chapter 1 or extra teaching pedagogy section or extra methodology notes or something even more specific. And I save that extra file in my folder for that project. And that way I just have a storage place so I can cut out information that I'm not using at the moment, or I know it doesn't belong in the essay, or I can't figure out where to put it. I know it's in the wrong place, but I don't know where the right place is yet. So I view the extra space as a storage holder. And I'm going to show how this works in just a brief slide. So if you are not able to look at this live on YouTube, if you're just listening, these are just 2 very short slides, and I'll kind of explain what it looks like going forward. But I like to have a visual with this because I think it makes a little bit more sense. So what I end up doing, when I have a writing session, the very first time that I need to put something somewhere, I will create an extra document. So what I'm showing on the screen is an original document with a big chunk of words shaded out that I know I don't want there. I need to get them out of there and put them somewhere. All I do is open up a new document, title it extra. Sometimes I'll, again, give it a subtitle like extra chapter 1 or extra methodology, and then I'll copy and paste it and drop it into that extra document. And then I'm able to delete it out of the original, but I know that that information is somewhere. So for longer projects, I have many, many extra documents. So for example, I've mentioned I've been working on a book project that's around 300 pages. I have an extra document for each of the chapters. So anything that was extra in a teaching chapter or extra in a scholarship chapter ended up getting put in those extra documents. I also have a general extra document for information that I couldn't even decide where it went in a chapter, but I thought it might be useful. So a lot of that information is, for example, just general quotes about the project, some research, some sentences I knew that maybe I had already said somewhere else, repetitive information and that kind of thing. And so what's useful then is I save both of the documents. I save them into a folder where my project is living. Of course, I do a backup. I do back up my extra documents in Google Drive as well as keeping them on a hard drive. But the other thing that I will do is every time I open up a new writing session then, or I start a new writing session, some days I don't need that extra document. So I just let it sit in the folder where the project is until I need it again. So for example, I mentioned I had to put a bunch of things in an extra document just a couple days ago, a couple of pages. But prior to that, I didn't open the extra document for maybe 2 months because everything I was using or I was writing, I was keeping. So the extra document is sort of there as a fallback. It's there. And another way this document has helped me is if I accidentally cut something that later I want. So then I know, okay, I have it somewhere. It's always in my extra document. So notice I'm not calling this document something like rejects or cuts or anything like that, because right now it's just extra. It's information I might still put in the project. I might not. And then for completed projects, I still have those extra documents. And another way that I will sometimes use these is, let's say I'm going to do a new project that is an offshoot of an old one. Sometimes that information in the extra document is extra for a reason. So for example, it was tangential to the original project, but it's great for the new project. So combing through those extra documents sometimes gives you a little bit of a head start on a new project. That's one way I use them. Another way that I'll use those extra documents, even after the original project is published or presented, is for a new conference presentation. Sometimes in the extra, there's some really good things in there that just didn't work with the original project, but they're great ways to kind of capture a concept or a methodology. And, just the way that they're written, they're another way of explaining something. So I've sometimes used them there. Other ways that I will do them is sometimes if I like, say, a tangential idea, but it's extra because it was written poorly maybe the first time, I'll use that as a launching point to start a writing session. So if I want to start writing about an idea, maybe some of those bits of the idea are floating in the extra document, I will use those to start writing again. So I might just pull some of those out, copy them from the extra document, put them in a new one, and then start writing from there. So there's lots of different ways that I've used it, but I just like it because mentally it allows me to shut off my brain and keep going. Because I think a lot of us know when we're doing scholarly writing that sometimes pieces don't fit, sentences don't fit, entire sections don't fit. And for me, just knowing I copied it, I pasted it, I put it in the extra document, I saved the extra document, I backed up the extra document, really helps me just have that just understanding and recognition that in scholarly writing, some stuff gets cut. It just does. So at least I know that I have backups that are available to me. So hopefully that strategy was helpful, and also in the spirit of helping faculty writers and graduate student writers today. I know I'd mentioned on our previous podcast that we're sponsored by the Textbook and Academic Authors Association. And so for the next 6 months, I'll just be sharing different resources every week. And this one I'll call a TAA resource of the day, if we want to call it that, because this is one that I was actually looking at today as I record this episode in late October of 2022. But one of the things that I really like about this association, I mentioned, very reasonable cost to subscribe as an individual subscriber. But the other thing I like about it is that it has these electronic book downloads that speak to issues of writing productivity. And sometimes it's not about the writing itself, but it's about how we facilitate writing or we engage in writing with others. And so one of the sources I just discovered it actually, because it is sort of like a treasure chest on the TAA website. I find stuff all the time, and there's hundreds of resources. But one of the ones I just found was this downloadable ebook on writing accountability. And what I really liked in this is how I ended up using it, was that I run a writing group every week on my campus. And I have not found a really great short explanation of behaviors that faculty members who come to a writing group should engage in. So what does it mean to be inquisitive and questioning when you're talking about other people's writing? What does it mean to be accountable and hold others accountable? And I love the descriptions in here, honestly, of just the behaviors of writing accountability. It also has all kinds of benefits to having accountability partners or groups such as writing groups, and just how to collaborate with others. So those are all great. But I like that it's also a short resource. It's something that I know for me as a faculty writing group facilitator, I'm able to use this with faculty that I work with. But for graduate students or faculty members that are looking to start their own either collaborative partnerships on a scholarly project where you're going to write together, or an accountability group of some sort, this is a great resource to just say at the very beginning, what are some behaviors or some ground rules we want to have going forward, so we're all expecting the same thing out of this experience. So again, this writing accountability ebook is fantastic. It's only 13 pages. It's really short. But for me, it was exactly what I needed for just talking about more behaviors and expectations in a way that is inviting and welcoming for people that were coming to a new faculty writing group. So I hope this helps. And if you have any questions about TAA or the partnership, feel free to contact me at Christine@defendandpublish.com. I'm always happy to talk about that. But if you have a chance, check them out. It's a great resource. Happy writing this week.